$200, a Super Nintendo setup costs twice as much as the old system. For the money, the company promises better pictures, sound, and adventure. Now you're playing with power, superpower. You're the king, I tell you! The king!
Only for Super NES.
Only on Super NES.
You're listening to the SNES podcast with your host, Soul Blazer.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is when you're listening to this, because, you know, podcast, worldwide, time zones, like, you know the drill. This is Super NES Podcast. I am Greg, joined always by Joe.
Hi.
And we're covering Super NES Podcast number 156, which is Joe's pick, Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues. But to be fair, I probably would have gotten to this game eventually myself anyway, because we covered the first game. You know, the first game, like, only seems appropriate to cover the sequel. So,
yeah, I felt enough time had passed that we should just cover the sequel and get it over and done with.
We make it sound like the first game was a bad game. It wasn't.
No, I don't think right. We agreed the first game was a good game, but I really wanted to get into this one because, you know, obviously the stark differences in gameplay.
Oh yeah, sure. Plus, this game was up. Yeah. Plus, this game was not on Genesis. So
right.
You had never played this. So you never played this before. Like the podcast, correct?
Correct. I played the Game Boy version, which is very different. But we could talk about that when we get into it.
Right. Yeah. Actually, that's fine. I mean, we can just cover that like real quick here, just to get it done like out of the way with. Yeah. So Super NES version came out in January 1995. Game Boy version came out a month later. Developed by the same team in Ocean Software that made the first game. So we already spent quite a bit of time covering both the Jurassic Park franchise and Ocean Software in the like in our first Jurassic Park episode. So I'm not going to say anything more about that here at this point. But the Game Boy game plays in a similar manner, but the plot's different for some reason. You know, they gave games like both. You know, they gave. Probably because they figured the Game Boy could not do the Super NES gameplay style, which I don't know if I agree with, but whatever. You know, for whatever reason, you know, like the Game Boy version has some different stages, such as like, you know, taking a raft down the river, like whatnot. So it also has a several more stages than the. I mean, you have to flee, like, so you have to flee a T-Rex find a couple spots in this game. The Game Boy version has like more of that for some reason. So, but yeah, so the Super NES version of the game is very different. So, they came up with an original storyline like for the game. Having said that, what is interesting is that actually parts of the story have become canon in the Jurassic Park franchise since then.
Right.
So, the plotline for this game is that a year has passed since the events of Jurassic Park. So you are playing as a Dr. Alan Grant, one of the main characters like the franchise, who's contacted by John Hammond, the head of InGen, also an important part of the franchise, for his help in reopening Jurassic Park. A heavily armed team's been sent there to clear things out and try to get try to establish control. However, they found out that Biosyn, InGen's competitors, has also sent a team there to stop it. So he sends you in there to help out the team and to help the team and try to get Biosyn's invasion stopped. So as I mentioned before, two parts of the storyline have become canon. You know, like like in the Lost World movie, it does show a task force, but a task force being sent to capture dinosaurs. The dinosaurs like regain control of the island. So, and then also like the head of Biosin, Louis Dodgson, in the sequel novel, also spends quite a bit of time like in that book, talking about his plans to take over the island and access the mainframe, that kind of stuff. So, but they so this game is completely different than the first game. Very, very different. You know, I am hard pressed actually to think of I think of a game in which the original game and the sequel are so different like from each other. So, because the original game was like kind of like a half Zelda, half half Zoom with a half Doom with a bit of Star Tropics thrown in, kind of like gameplay. This game's purely a run and gun, a run and gun game. Very similar to like Contra and the Gunstar Heroes.
Which is. I was going to say that's one of the notes I have written down. At this, like the short explanation of this game to anybody who hasn't seen it or played it is Contra with dinosaurs, and it's great.
Right. So there's a bunch of changes. So there's a bunch of changes and tweaks that this game has, which are very interesting. Because to be what they said, the gameplay is primarily run and gun. However, there are some interesting conditions attached to you. One thing is, you can play the game either like single player, like a single player, like a dual player. So multiplayer is always nice. But one nice feature they give you multiplayer if you want to use it. It's an option on the option screen. Is that you can transfer energy from the healthier player to the not so healthy player. During gameplay, also help them out, which is kind of similar to the like letting somebody like steal life from you in Contra. Like you go through all your lives, but very interesting. I can't think of any other game in which there's actually that energy transfer feature, however, though. Right. So, it helps out. It helps out a novice player be able to play with an expert player, for example. Like we're doing that. So, second of all, the game allows you to pick from 3 difficulty levels. There's easy, normal, and hard. However, there is a very significant difference between the settings, not in terms of difficulty. Because the game by itself consists of 14. Sorry, I had the exact count down. Had the exact count like written down on here. Let's see. Yes, 14 missions. So, as you play an easy mode, you get 14 missions. However, if you play on normal mode, you get an extra mission at the end. And if you play a hard mode, you play another mission on the end after that. So if you want to see all the game, and therefore the quote-unquote best ending, you have to play in hard mode. Yeah. So, I've talked before about this. I understand why they did this. It gives some incentive, but but again, like Contra, because the Contra does this too with like Contra 3. If you want to see the best ending and the best last mission, you have to play on the hardest mode. Right. So it was a way of being able to get more like gameplay at the end of the game. So but anyway, so what difficulty did you play this on, Joe?
I played this on normal.
Okay. All right.
And it took me a little while to understand the mechanics completely.
They're very unique in this game.
Yeah, so like apparently I discovered like killing T-Rexes and Velociraptors does not affect the number of dinosaurs that are mentioned at the top of the screen.
Yes.
But that number is actually important. So I was thinking at first like I had to kill that many dinosaurs. So I went around and murdered as many dinosaurs as possible. When that hits 0, that's a game over. Because you've basically killed all the animals or all the dinosaurs on the island, essentially, is what it boils down to. And so it was interesting to have to switch back and forth between lethal and what they call quote unquote less lethal weapons. to be able to get through the park. And it is a pisser when you have a taser or a tranquilizer gun in your hand, and then you come up against a velociraptor or something, totally forget that you have it enabled, and you die or come very close to death because you realize that you had the wrong weapon. You're cycling through your weapons as this raptor's trying to tear you apart.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Like, I had the same experience. So,
but before we move forward, I just want to point out that the opening to this game is amazing. Like, so amazing. Like, the animated cutscenes look fantastic. They're voiceovered, which was not something I expected. And it actually made me look and Google online to see if there was a Jurassic Park cartoon, because that's what this looked like. It looked like this was a spin-off of a cartoon franchise. You know what I mean? Like, the way it was very much set up. But, I was surprised that, they had the animation cutscenes, the voiceovers, and also, like, the ability to choose whatever mission you want from the very get-go was very surprising. Like, I expected this to be a more linear game than what it was.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yep. Definitely agreeing on all points. I think, the game... the game is still somewhat linear, because you still have to... Because eventually you do have to do all those missions.
Right.
The game does give you some choice, like in order to play them. So I also was very surprised by the intro because I had no idea that I was there. So, and I don't think it gets a lot of credit because people don't realize this game either exists or they've forgotten about it. But yeah, It's like, as far as an opening for a 16-bit game, this is definitely like right up there at the top, I thought, because the game story is explained that scene. It's very short. It's only under a minute.
Right.
But the fact that it actually has like those bright, vivid cartoon-like graphics, and voices, good voices too.
Yeah.
That was very surprising. It's very, very good. It's very sharp. It's definitely it definitely ranks up there as one of the best openings for a Super NES game. Period. I think. But
yeah, I watched it twice because I couldn't believe what I was seeing the first time around.
They must have decided that they wanted to kind of snazz the game up a little bit because the actual game changes probably did not take a lot of space like on the RAM. So they're like, well,
right,
we got room left over. What else can we do with this?
Right.
So coming from a cartoon definitely sounds like viable. I mean, it was done before in other games.
Right.
It's like they take grab bits and pieces from existing cartoons and kind of go from there. So, so there wasn't a cartoon though. Like at any point though, was there?
No.
There was a comic book. I remember that.
Yep. There's a cartoon now, but that deals with the newer.
Oh, is there one now? No, I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Netflix has one.
All right.
It's called Camp Cretaceous or something like that. It's like
I'll check that out.
CGI. It's like CGI animation. It's interesting. Like it's because it's the kind of like the stopgap between the last movie and the new movie that's coming out, where like dinosaurs are now in the United States living with humans. It's interesting.
Okay.
So it kind of incorporates that whole thing. But that was a tangent and a half. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I was not aware about that. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So as far as the dinosaur count, you're not blamed for not knowing that at first because it's mentioned in the manual. But most people were not going to look at a manual for like a run and gun game. So.
Even if I had this back in the day, I wouldn't have looked at the manual.
So the story, the story reason for that is that InGen's trying to protect their investments because obviously they spent millions, if not billions, of dollars on Jurassic Park. And the dinosaurs, like they tell you, look, we can't kill too many dinosaurs, or otherwise we're not going to have anything left to come back to. So, so obviously, with the exception of the raptors. and the T-Rexes, who are both very dangerous, dangerous out of control.
Right.
You are given a limit as to how many other dinosaurs you can kill. That said, once you know the limit, I never had a problem with it because the hunter is very, very generous. In fact, I think if they wanted to make it constraining, they should have made it smaller. But
Right.
or change the amount from stage to stage. Like make it like 10 for one stage, but with 20 for another, like whatever. So
Yeah.
that would have been an interesting gameplay mechanic. But
I mean, I was gonna say, you can imagine, like, it took me legit, I think, like 15 minutes for me to run through the entire like first mission to kill 100 dinosaurs. Like, you know what I mean? Like I thought it was the mission to kill the dinosaurs. So
right. Right. So, weapons. You mentioned weapons before. The weapons in the game are pretty good. There's a wide mix of them. Because of that restriction, you have you have both like lethal and non-lethal weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So, the non-lethal weapons, you can use the non-lethal weapons on any dinosaur, but they're recommended mostly for the ones that are smaller, the smaller ones,
Right.
and or the ones that are the ones that are not the ones that are counting against your count. So, you have a tranquilizer gun, tranquilizer missile launcher, which is it was basically like bazooka version, like the trank.
Right.
And then also later late in the game after the fourth emergency mission, you also unlock the super trank bazooka, which basically is like a cloud version, a cloud gas version of like the bazooka as far as tranquilizer effect goes.
yeah,
So,
and if you play on easy mode, you won't get that weapon.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's also Cataprod too. I almost forgot because
Yeah, the regular taser.
yeah, exactly. So you always have the Cataprod. So
Can we talk about how powerful the goddamn shotgun is in this game?
the shotgun's great. Yeah, so I was gonna get there in a moment. Your lethal weapons, your lethal weapons are a rifle with your stock gun, that never run out of ammo. A machine gun, like the shotgun. Yes, the shotguns are usually very cool in games and usually are not reflected at all in reality as to how shotgun actually works.
Right.
But the shotgun in this game is very, very. But the shotgun like this game is great. Actually, yes. So,
yeah, I mean, you take down most dinosaurs with one hit, like no ifs, ands, or buts.
I mean, the machine gun's good also, but
Right.
in a pinch.
I don't know. It felt really good, like jumping over like a raptor or like one of those other little like raptor-looking things, and just pointing downwards and shooting the shotgun and just watching them hit the ground and die.
Yes, exactly. So, totally agree with that. So, you also have your basic power-up. You have a health to give you back a health bar, ammunition to the ammunition like to give you back ammo.
Mm-hmm.
So certain missions also require you to pick up batteries, power supply, and key cards, which are used as part of some of the missions.
Mm-hmm.
So, certain missions you have to keep an eye out like for those. So, like we were saying before, the base game, the easy level is 14 stages. The stages themselves are broken up into sections. As Joe mentioned before, at the start of the game, you were able to pick a mission to play. You have 6 missions given to you, like in a chart, and you're saying, you're basically given okay, have at it. So pick a mission you want to play. It gives you an overview. What you're trying to do there. Then you have at it. So once the mission's done with, once the regular mission's done with, the game interrupts you with like what's called an emergency mission. Basically it's like, okay, something came up, drop everything, and then play this one next. So I found the emergency missions usually be a little bit more difficult than the regular missions because of that, but the difficulty did seem to crank up some like in those missions. So after 12 after those 12 missions are done, the last 2 missions of the game are to destroy the Biosyn headquarters and then disarm the bombs, the bombs that are on the island, because Biosyn, being a sore loser, has put bombs like in the volcano to cause it to erupt and destroy the island. So and if you're on easy, that's it. However, like I said before, if you're playing normal, you get one more mission after that. Kill the T-Rex. So this mission, the bombs could not all be stopped. The volcano is going to erupt. You're trying to escape, and the T-Rex wants to have a war with you. So you're trying to basically just try to take him out. So, and then finally, if you're on hard mission, you get one last hard difficulty. You get one last final mission. Bowson's not giving up. It's a shoot down helicopter mission. You're in a helicopter being attacked by another Bowson helicopter, and it changes to change your first person perspective. You're trying to shoot down the helicopter first. So, obviously, those two missions being bonus are very tough missions. So
yeah.
But the game. But that said, the game's actually a little bit longer than most typical running guns. YouTube playthrough times for this game like about an hour and a half. So so I was surprised actually with how much meat there is here for this game, because because they said like depending upon its level, you either get like 14 to 16 missions. That's pretty long for like a running gun game.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So gameplay is basic running gun style. Side scrolling. You can shoot in multiple directions. A lot of stages involve like climbing and jumping. Controls are pretty good. Didn't have an issue with the controls. Jumping's pretty good. Certain dinosaurs come at you low, so you want to try to take them out with a weapon that's also like a weapon that's also like very like low facing. So. Certain stages give you a timer also, because you have to escape or get somewhere before the timer line runs out.
Right.
So, the game has as the game comes like limited continues. However, there's a cheat code. Might as well mention it right now since it's coming up. There's cheat code. There's a cheat code that you can use like on the menu screen, the mission select screen. To give you like unlimited continues.
Yeah.
So with that, you will eventually beat this. So,
did you come across any hidden arrows that should have been visible, but the foreground hid them on you?
A little bit. I didn't want to comment on that because I wasn't sure if it was like emulation, or not.
No, I definitely came across that issue quite a few times. It wasn't anything like game breaking or anything like that, but there was definitely a few times where like I'd walked one way, completely past it, and then like as I came back around, like I could see at least a little chunk of the arrow pointing. So I mean, it was frustrating that things like that were hidden by foreground bushes or whatever else that they put in there, but at the same time, like, it wasn't too frequent to get annoying, you know what I mean? It was just one of those like, oh, that thing happened again.
Interesting.
Also, I found the music and graphics in this game to be pretty good.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, definitely. So, yep. So, so before we move on, just a couple other quick things. I forgot to mention this earlier. This game did get released. Like both in North America, like in Europe. The box covers are very different between the regions. North America just has the the usual Jurassic Park logo on it, whereas in Europe they actually use the picture from the movie. So, I'm not sure about the difference, but I think the European cover looks better personally, but just your mileage may vary. And also, like the first game, there was also like freebies. If you bought the game back then, you were able to send in for a free collectible figure, kind of like like a like an action doll kind of like thing.
Oh, nice.
So, but the game does have So this game, just like its first one, also has mouse support. So, I was one of the few people who actually had a Super NES mouse, like, can use this in the game. So, But yes, that's like pretty cool. So graphics of the game are very good. Yes, we already mentioned the amazing intro.
Right.
But the graphics themselves are very very good looking 16-bit game. I mean, nothing I've seen before. But there's nice detail in the background graphics. A nice detail in the backgrounds. The game scrolls very well, and the dinosaurs look all well illuminated. You do not look like you're playing as Alan Grant, but the character is like very well shown. And yeah, the music in this game I think is like very good. It's nothing great, but the soundtrack in this game is very very appropriate and fitting for an action game of this type.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think about the overall gameplay by itself, Joe? Because I'm going to talk about the tier like a little bit. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this.
Yeah, I felt it was fine. You could easily switch your weapons on the fly, which was nice. Being able to shoot in all the 8 directions helped. Like I said, other than occasional foreground getting in the way of being able to traverse the levels, I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. It truly is like Contra with dinosaurs. Like it's there's got its difficult points, that's for sure. But like Contra, you remember what it is, and if you got enough continues, you can get through the game. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So you played at the normal difficulty level. So overall, you found the challenge to be fitting like that level.
Yeah, I felt so. I wouldn't have tried hard for sure. I can tell you that. But yeah, I felt that for what it was, yeah, it was challenging, but it wasn't like too challenging to where it made me want to like throw my controller or whatnot.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much have the same feel. And so I only played it like normal. I watched the last mission like on YouTube. Just because I didn't want to have to go through the game like a hard mode. But yeah, I mean, it is very heavily Contra / Gunstar Heroes inspired, like for sure, as far as the gameplay. Not that it's a bad thing. I mean, the two most commonly used genres for Jurassic Park games have been either like simulation, or action. So I mean, going around shooting up dinosaurs is not like a hard stretch for me to, creativity, not really.
Right.
But the actual, like I said before, there's some interesting gameplay decisions that were made here in this game to make it kind of unique and refreshing. So, so it's definitely like a pretty good. Yeah, so it's definitely like a pretty good entry, entering the series as far as like running on games go. So if you enjoy running on games like this type, this one's worth checking out. Because I think, like I said before, I don't know how well it's sold, but this game does not seem to get a lot of attention these days. So,
right.
I think a lot of people probably dismiss it as a cash grab, which some people agreed with. We'll get to that in a moment, but. Again, Ocean did spend some time and some effort trying to make a quality game here out of this. So, whether or not they succeeded, it's up to you. But there definitely is, some good effort here with this game, and how it's made and everything.
Right.
So before I move on, did you have anything else to say about that, Joe? As far as the actual gameplay, like your impressions?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Okay. All right. So this game actually got pretty mixed reviews back in the day, for various reasons. So, the scores of this game ranged anywhere from 2 out of 5 stars up to 83%. So, most of the complaints that they had was that the game is not very original, which is, to be fair, it's not.
Right.
So, I said that because it's so. Some of them criticized the repetitive missions, which I can see that. There's not there's a lot of missions, but a lot of missions don't have a lot of variety to them. So, I mean, you are doing different things in each mission, but a mission in each mission, but the actual different variety between each mission is like more limited. So, I can understand that. I don't agree with it fully, but So just basically, just like. Most of the complaints just boil down to the fact that they kind of expected something better, something better out of a game that had the Jurassic Park name slapped on it, which I guess is fair. But so, so I mean, so some of the ideas were interesting, but some of the ideas did not go like very well. But Hacky and Nintendo Power themselves basically said that they criticized the game for unbalanced gameplay and like weapons have little stopping power. So I mean, like unless you think Nintendo Power never said anything bad like about a game. They have criticized games in the past. So, but the Game Boy version, by the way, got very similar marks. Yeah. So, some of that depends upon some of that's perspective, like when the game came out, because I mean, I can see that there really wasn't anything amazing outside of the opening that this game brought to the table when it came out in 1995, because obviously Contra's going to be a better game, but having said that, the game itself is still like pretty good. It was still pretty good, like what it tries to do. I mean, if you kind of just like forget about the whole Jurassic Park franchise tie and just approach it as a typical running gun game, you can have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, I mean, if you also take in consideration like what came out around this time, also like this is a mediocre addition to the SNES library. I mean, you got Chrono Trigger, you got Diddy Kong, the Donkey Kong Country 2 sequel. What else was out around that time? Jeez. I had a third title, but anyways. But you get the idea. Like Killer Instinct came out that year. So like, you know what I mean? True. Yep. So it's like digitized graphics and stuff like that where, in like these newer pseudo 3D model type, games are coming out. And you look at this one and you just, you could tell this wasn't, cutting edge for the time. So I can understand why reviewers were harsh on it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean, not super harsh, but but the score is definitely averaging. So I mean, right. So I mean, perspective matters a lot. I mean, I think that the game is pretty good, like what it is. So I mean, maybe the best way to approach it like before is just to kind of forget. Forget it's like a JP game and just kind of go with it just like typical like running gun attitude. So, but
right,
yeah, because the gameplay, the gameplay I think is like pretty fun and pretty challenging. So, like I said, if you have the patience for this kind of stuff, by all means check this game out. Mm-hmm. You definitely, you may be pleasantly surprised like what's here. So eBay, the game is a fairly common, like an eBay actually. So I guess it, so they must have, so like the game got a bigger print run than I thought, or nobody cares about the game. So prices are pretty good for Super NES game. 49 copies of the game are currently listed for sale. The 49 copies of the game recently sold. Average sale prices, these prices include shipping. Card only. The game usually sells between $13 and $35. So, CIB a little bit more pricier. $34 for a beat up copy. To a complete mint pristine copy of the game for $95.
Okay.
So, yeah, so not bad pricing. So, but yeah, so not a bad game. I'm glad we covered it. Like I said before, it's a pretty it's a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
I think this game does. I think this game does a lot of things right. And if you're a fan of the franchise or a fan of like Contra style games, period, by all means check this out.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So, anything else you want to say about the game, Joe?
No, I think we covered it.
Yep, I think so too. So, thank you again, as always, for spending some time with us. I very much appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, etc., you can leave us a message on our Facebook page, or you can also send me an email to the SNESpodcast@yahoo.com. Joe, how can somebody reach you if they're so inclined?
Yeah, you can reach me on Twitter at JOESUX30.
Okay, awesome. So, next up in the podcast, we're hopefully doing a guest episode. So, I'm going to keep the title of the name, the name of the game secret for now in case the plans don't work out. But we do have a backup plan in mind in case it happens. Don't worry about it. So, hopefully next time will be the first time this year with a special guest episode. So stay tuned for that. So,
yeah, look forward to it.
So as always, we appreciate you listening to the podcast. Everybody stay safe out there. Take care, and I hope to catch you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Nintendo controls 80% of the video market. But no matter how you play the game, or which game you play, things definitely have come a long way since Pac-Man.
Now you're playing with power. Super power.